Hello, welcome back to Live Reality Game Podcast. My name is Steven Stewart. I'm here to talk about the most recent episode of Survivor British Columbia Season 6, Rockrain Valley. In Episode 4, we saw a swap, we saw a blindside, we saw a balut. I don't know what more we can ask for in a Survivor experience, but today I am with the one, the only, Hannah Fleming. Hannah is one of the main players from Survival Challenge 2018. And she's now on production with them. I think she is the lead camera person helping develop some of the strategies behind the game. So, Hannah, how are you doing?
I am doing good. What an intro. Thank you, Steven. I love how you're like, Hannah's one of the main players of Survival Challenge. Like, what? Which our episodes from our season have been coming out. So people will actually know that we played Survival Challenge in 2018.
Hannah, I need to ask your forgiveness.
What?
I haven't watched. I haven't.
Oh, it's okay.
Because I haven't been able to. So, spoiler: the episode that Hannah started editing brought out is my boot episode of Survival Challenge.
The first episode that I made, right?
Steel myself to relive that experience. It's been a challenge, and at some point I will watch myself get voted out and completely blindsided. But I just haven't. I haven't made the time for that yet. And as soon as I do, the rest of the season will be easy to watch. I started listening to and. I apologize for the Survival Challenge flashback, but Bryce was on the Survival Challenge with Hannah and me, and he just did a 3-hour deep dive interview that I just downloaded, listened to the first couple of minutes, and Bryce is like, yeah, I haven't watched the episode. I find it hard to watch myself. I'm like, yes, Bryce, I agree with you.
But he did end up watching them. So
yeah,
he says it's hard for him to watch, but he went and he watched them. So,
but yeah, so Hannah, how have you been doing?
I've been doing good. I'm so glad that you invited me on this podcast because I'm a huge Survivor BC fan, as you know. I love the production. I love how Matt and Jaira edit these episodes, are really fun. I love the content. And this season was a season that I was able to watch live while it was happening. And I can still remember just being glued to my phone because, I knew you playing, I knew Rachel playing, and I think those were the Survival Challenge people, right? So,
yes.
And then I think there was a couple people who had played Reelfoot also that summer that I had watched them play Reelfoot. So I was excited to watch them play this. Anyways, I can still remember. So speaking of, so I watched live, but I only remember who makes it to final tribal and who wins, which I will not be spoiling at all, but that's all I remember. So it's been really cool watching these episodes to just really see more confessionals behind the scenes of what was going on. And I remember, when I was watching the final tribal live, I was visiting a friend in Knoxville, Tennessee, and she's a Survivor fan too, but not as hardcore as I am. And I made her sit down in her living room and watch Final Tribal on my phone with me. And like, she got to watch me freaking out about, everybody's answers, who was going to win. It was such a fun time. So good memories from watching this season on Facebook Live. And I've been loving the episode so far.
So just as a brief disclaimer, this season was aired live in 2019, though the live stream on Facebook was. But for the people who are watching the edited episodes who don't know the outcome, we will not be spoiling what will happen. So we'll only talk about what's public knowledge up to this point in the episodes.
And I have nothing else to spoil besides Final Tribal, so there's nothing I remember.
Most important thing, just like, oh no, who's the winner? So you knew about Rachel and me because the three of us have played in Survival Challenge, and you actually played on Tribes with the two of us. Talk to me your thoughts about watching us come into this game. What were things you were excited for or nervous for with knowing our play styles?
Yeah, so as most people know, Rachel is such a character. So I got to play with Rachel during her first ever live game. And then she had played one more before BC. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Rachel's Survivor pedigree at this point. She plays the Survival Challenge in 2018. She comes in 8th, 7th? I think 8th.
Yes, 8th.
Yeah, she comes in 8th place, so she makes the merge, which is a huge achievement considering 24 players, only 9 make merge that season. Next, in 2019, she plays Reelfoot, Thick as Thieves, and she goes out in the swap there. Right. In the Blood versus Water season. Now the same summer, she comes back for Survivor BC Rockrain Valley.
And Cocapelli, did we have that in there?
Oh yeah, she's Cocapelli. I keep forgetting about Cocapelli. She played Cocapelli in 2018 too. So this is her fourth game.
Fourth game. All right. So, and I have watched all of her games. So I guess you could call me a Rachel super fan at this point. And so I had watched her grow every game she's played. So I was, I am all in on Rachel content. I think she's hilarious. And I don't think the episodes have given her enough screen time because there are so many funny Rachel moments. Like if the camera's on her, something funny is going to happen. Go watch the new Survival Challenge season 6 episodes. Rachel's when the Rachel moments happen, they're amazing. And so I was just watching. There's like bonus content for this episode.
Yeah, so,
there's episode 4.5 or something.
Yeah, so episode 4.5 dropped a day or two ago, and it's like additional content from like mostly episode 4, and so we get to see a lot more kind of the strategizing and lying of the Batuan tribe, but we kind of just get this extended snippet of just camp life that really does feature Rachel.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So at the end, I didn't get to finish it, but at the end, there's extended camp footage, and Rachel is being Rachel and just being amazing. So anyway, so my view of Rachel is I hadn't really seen like super strategic side of her through Facebook Live. But watching the BC Live was great. And then so playing with you, I just feel like, you ended up, when you got voted out, it's just because your ally turned on you and let you go. There wasn't much you could do. And I really wanted to work with you in Survival Challenge. But, once again, I let you go too. It was like, all right, someone's got to go. Bye, Steven. So I was excited to see what you were up to. And so watching the episodes has been really cool. I mean, your confessional this past episode was so funny when you were like, I'm about to make a very stupid move. And I was just dying. So that was great. I know who Kristen is from like Sequester season 3, from Reelfoot. I mean, like my memory of her from Reelfoot is like, I remember like Anne Sequester is that she can get emotional when she's like upset. So like I had this like image of her that way, but watching the episodes, it's really fun to see like the silly side of her and just see like watching her navigate those first couple, it was Ula votes.
Ula.
Yeah,
so
that was
Kula.
Yeah, so that was pretty neat to watch her navigate, having her name out there. Anyways, I also wanted to mention, I talked about watching Facebook Live, and one of my favorite parts of watching this live was when during tribal councils, how Devin would bring us live feeders. He would, during the voting period. Do you remember this? During the voting period,
I heard about this. He'd give an update, right, for the live. He
would walk away from all the players, and I would call it like a halftime show. He would have like a halftime show. Speaking of Super Bowl coming up tonight, he would like give everybody, watching like the insight about what's about to happen or like what he thinks is going to happen. It was so much fun. So, anyways, I forgot to mention that earlier. So yeah. I think maybe at this point I had known of Stacy. I think I had met her by this point because there was a Big Brother game in Ohio that I randomly like went to for a day because I knew someone playing. So I like visited on the last day and I got to watch their like final jury questions and who won. And I got to meet Stacy then.
Was that Home for the Holidays?
Yes.
So that Travis Rindler hosted? Okay, yes. Yeah.
So I think that was before this. So I met Stacy. I am a huge Stacy fan now. I have met her again when I went to go volunteer at Survivor Buffalo. And I got to meet Stacy, watch her play firsthand. And I am just like Queen Stacy stan. Like I love her so much. She is so fun to watch play. And yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling now about all these people that I love watching play. But yeah.
So before we get this episode, what are your thoughts on the first? We've had 4 players voted off, 3 episodes. Give me some highlights or just thoughts you've had this season so far.
I mean, I think I messaged you. The Noah boot was iconic. Like that was Zayn levels of amazing. When Noah goes up to
Chris Lord and Lindsay
and was like, I was gonna vote you out, but I think I want you to be 5th in my alliance. I don't know. I might not remember it.
He basically lays out his boot order, and Chris is the third boot in the order. And Chris is like, huh?
Yeah, he
I'm
lays
not
out
down
the boot
for
order.
this.
Oh my gosh. I loved it. I loved that so much. Like I could seriously go back and watch that again. That was amazing. Watching Aleem be allies with Noah and then quickly have to disown him. Like no, please do not connect me with him. Let me think. I just think that David kind of like sticks out like a leader. I think just one of those like classic alpha dudes. But he's not like loud about it at all, but just kind of like you can kind of tell things gravitate around him, and he kind of calls the shots a little bit. So that he's been very interesting to watch. And I thought Tony was going to get voted out a couple times. Just like I was like ready for that to happen.
Tony was like this perennial name that was just circulating. It's like, is it Tony's turn? Do we vote for Tony now?
Yeah. So good job, Tony, for continuing to survive the vote. And then also like Lexi and Lindsay have been so fun. I want to give a brief shout out to Lexi's shirts. She has a rap shirt on this episode. Yes. She has the mole sweatshirt on with the thumbprint on. Like she has great fandom apparel. Iconic. I definitely noticed the rap shirt. Loved it. Lindsay's confessionals, I have to say, are so fun. I don't know why, but the way she speaks, she is so sweet. And I could just listen to her talk for hours. Like I wrote in my notes, like, I want to be her best friend. I want to listen to her podcast. Does she have I want to listen to her podcast. I would be an ally with her, hands down. Like, I don't know. I am a big Lindsay fan. I don't know. Something about the way she speaks and her confessionals are great. As we get the swap tribe, Lindsay was the number one person I wanted to work with. I was like, yep. Like, and for me, Lindsay, well, you and Lindsay share a lot of qualities as a Survivor player, and like a lot of what I wanted to work, why I wanted to work with you, I wanted to work with Lindsay as well. It's like, oh man, like where you go, I want to go. So maybe me and her working together we would just combust. Like it wouldn't be like it would be too much. The Dream Alliance, or it's like, yeah, maybe we would just have to separate. Like it wouldn't work out. Or like maybe be a Wendell Dunn. You work with each other and realize like, oh no, we need to take each other out. And like it's a question of like who stabs first, and unless you somehow mutually get to the end and tie the game. I would. Nothing would make me happier than to be Lindsay's ride or die. I don't know why. I love her so much. So in this episode, they mention Lori found an idol. We find that out at the very end. Is that something we had seen in previous episodes? No. So okay, so that's what I was going to ask. Unfortunately, to my understanding, we never got footage of Lori actually finding the idol. Okay. Nor and that confessional we see at the end, that was a live confessional, which is why the quality is kind of shaky, because that quality they didn't like include in the episodes. I think one of the things they've been doing is trying to use the better footage for the episodes and not the live footage, which I understand. It's just like, I think sometimes there's some more iconic things like Lori saying, oh, and I have the idol. But to my understanding, Lori finds the idol very early. If you remember back to the premiere, Taylor St. Louis is at that giant tree stump. She turns to him and is like, I think I see something, right? But and she sees the idol, but she doesn't grab it because we're all around her at that moment. She walks off and Lori comes and gets it. Oh, and so Taylor comes back and the idol's gone. Yes. So we don't have footage, but essentially Taylor finds the idol. Taylor doesn't take it because we're all around her searching the coins. Lori then finds the idol, snags it, doesn't tell a soul. And so TSL at this point knows that someone has it, right? TSL knows someone has it. TSL has no idea who has it. Now, I'm a huge TSL fan as well, just gotta say. She's iconic in the org world, so I have learned of her prowess ever since. I think I didn't know who she was when I watched this live, but ever since I've watched this live, I've the legend of TSL lives on, and it's fun getting to watch her play this live game and avoid being first one out. Whereas the other first boots didn't get to outlive their first boot status. Now, but Lori had played Reelfoot also that summer before, and I want to the Blood vs. Water season. No, there's 2 seasons. She played Calican's Revenge. Okay. And I'm trying to remember
I want to say she also found an idol that season.
Iconic.
But I can't remember. I mean, Lori had a really rocky game where she's the 6th and 8th person voted out of that season. She gets voted out, comes back, basically becomes a new tribe leader, creates a new tribe, is the first voted out of that tribe.
I love it. I mean,
she's also the tribe she's voted out, then proceeds to go to 5 more straight tribal councils.
Oh my god.
Or 4 more straight tribal councils and just gets decimated.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but yeah, so idol. I wish there's more part of the episode, but Lori just doesn't tell a soul. So it's like not part of any strategy at all at least from Keegan and me, like on things we can do.
I can't believe.
I mean, I think we'll talk about it later. The idea of when do you reveal these advantages or not. Thank you, Kristen. I did get a haircut. I needed to get a haircut before I went to this major conference in St. Louis and needed to impress a bunch of people. So it was overdue.
Impressed haircut.
Thank you, Kristen. But let's start off this episode with the tribe swap. Now, you are a veteran of several tribe swaps, and the Survival Challenge likes doing some more complicated tribe swaps.
Yes, they do.
You have to really think about. This tribe swap is interesting because it was basically a reverse pick'em. So what would you do in this situation, Hannah, if you have to basically take a player from your tribe and put them on the other tribe? Mm-hmm. What would be going through your head?
Well, let's start with where each tribe has to pick a team captain. And I wrote in my notes, like, even though it's scary, I think now that I've survived tribe swaps, I think that I would have been more inclined to want to be the captain, to just have some type of power, to take my fate into my own hands. Mm-hmm. And so, you guys are playing rock, paper, scissors. And I believe, do you reveal in a confessional that you purposely lost so that you could be captain?
If I remember that, I don't remember purposely losing. I think I just ended up losing and becoming tribe captain.
I couldn't
if I
tell
had a confessional where I was purposeful about that, then go 2019 me for being way sadder than I am right now.
Yeah, but I don't, at this point in my life, I just, I feel like swaps can be, you don't want to be swap screwed. And even though you don't know what's coming, to at least have some type of power in your own hands is really great.
I don't think, though, being a captain in this situation was that much of a benefit, though.
But you didn't know what it was going to be.
Agreed.
When you're being told to pick a captain, you have no idea what's going on. Who knows? Maybe we're going to be sent to exile. Like, you don't know. So it's kind of like, I love the reverse pick'em. I think it's kind of fun. It adds another layer to thinking through what to do. Tribes are even at this point, right? So that makes it very interesting that you're going to have a 3-3 split on both tribes. And I just think when it comes to tribe swaps, you need to think through, like definitely, you're one person you really want to be on your tribe, but also like one person you wouldn't mind getting voted out on your tribe. Like, sometimes if you're going to do pick'ems, you kind of have to think through who's going to be the easy vote of this tribe. You want to have that like little safety net. I don't think that's a bad thing. So,
well, the 2 tribe leaders ended up being me by rock, paper, scissors and Aleem from the Ula Ula tribe. And I then rock, paper, scissors against Aleem again. And I finally win this time. And my reward is I get to be the first person to choose a player from my tribe to be on the other tribe. And you can tell I'm just kind of like taken aback and trying to figure out who do I pick, where should I go? And I end up, I believe there's a confessional me kind of explain this, but I end up choosing Tony just because I thought there would be the least ramifications for my game. And I didn't feel like we were very much invested in each other's game at this point.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to potentially have either Lori or I think my ideal 3 of the people I'd like to my tribe was TSL, Lori, or Rachel. I wanted at least one of those 3 on my tribe with me.
Yeah. And it, helps leave them and as a choice to come over.
And I think Aleem then so the order for my tribe is I pick Tony. Tony then sends Keegan to my new tribe. Keegan kicks Rachel to the other tribe. Rachel sends Lori to my tribe, and TSL is the last one standing. It ends up on the Ula tribe. So that leads me, Keegan, and Lori, and then Tony, Rachel, and TSL. So it's an interesting kind of mix of the 2. And then from the other side of things, Aleem starts by putting States in another tribe. And I find this humorous just because we've had this kind of low-key sniping between the 2 of them with like Aleem casts a vote for Stacy, the first tribal council. Stacy casts a vote for Aleem, the second tribal council. So you can kind of tell, like,
I love it.
Yes, it's tit for tat, but I think it's smart for Aleem to just get her out of his game for now, just because if they're in the same tribe and like they might be like, you could tell they'd probably be more willing to turn on each other than not.
I love it.
But so Aleem sends Stacy to one tribe. Stacy then picks Lexi to Lindsay to Kristen, and David is last. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, with the reverse pick'em is really interesting of sending who you wouldn't want to the other side. So, it's like, so did everybody want him?
Everyone did want him. That's why he was left last, because the entire, speaking of talking about advantages, everyone in the game knew he had advantage, but all the Ula knew was an extra vote. And when you're looking at a 3-3 swap tribe, an extra vote is a very nice thing to have. Yeah. And so no one wanted to force him onto the other tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, we're left with a new Baton 2.0 of 3 original Baton, 3 original Ula. So that's Steven, Keegan, Laurie, Stacy, Lindsay, and David. Then Ula 2.0 is Tony, Rachel, Taylor, Aleem, Lexi, Kristen.
I mean, if this was on real CBS Survivor, Jeff Probst would be having a field day. Like, this is like perfect, that both tribes are at a 3-3 split. I mean, that's amazing. Like, you can't want anything better than that for a swap.
So if you were on a 3-3 swap like this, what would you be thinking about? What would you want to do?
I'm glad you asked. So if I was in the situation that the Batulon tribe, whatever it's called, that they find themselves going to tribal, here's what I think I would do. Sell out the rest of my tribe. I want to be the one person that the other 3 feel the best about. And so that the other 2 get voted out before me. I'm not going to Rocks before the merge. Unless I really don't see a future with the other side. Like, if I really don't see myself working with any of the other 3 from the other alliance, like, I would, look at me putting my strategy out there. I'm never going to play another live game, whatever. But I would want to be number 4. So I have 2 people as my safety net.
You already know that Lindsay's on the other side, and you're like, Lindsay, I'm all in, baby. I'm working with you now.
Yeah. No, if I'm in a game with Lindsay, me and her, I don't even care. I don't even care about any alliance.
So
I'm all in on Lindsay.
How fast do you sell out your original tribe?
So I think that I would do a lot of what you were doing when, and I don't even know if this was in the episode or if this was more in those like bonus scenes, is they have some clips of you talking with David. You suck up to the leader of the other side, and you were just making him feel really feel like he has a future with you. Like, you're just like, oh my God, I would love to work with you. I really want to work with you. Like, we just need to survive a couple votes and then, and go from there. So, so I would, like I said, I'd be pretty much selling out my other allies for self-preservation purposes. Finding out who the leader of the other side is, making them feel really good about me. And I think that you and Keegan both did a good job of that. And it seems like maybe Laurie didn't, because they made you and Keegan feel like the vote could be you. Anyways, I'm jumping ahead. Okay. Anyways, that's what I would do. Okay.
What we don't see in the episode is that we kind of swap at dusk, and then we don't. I mean, you have distance of time, but we have all night and kind of felt like a fair amount of time in the morning with just our new tribe. And so Baton 2.0, we all kind of like camp out in the grass inside the trees, and we all kind of just stay there. There's no really much of any one or 2 people going off and talking. We're all just like kind of locked in together as no one. It's kind of like chicken. No one really wants to make the first move.
I know. That's the problem with these live games, is that you get stuck at camp and you need to go strategize, but it's so hard to be the person to do so. You have to come up with excuses like, let's go to the bathroom for the 10th time. Let's go find sticks together. It's really hard to escape camp.
Now, I was able to, like, kind of David and I were in the woods alone at one point, and we
Mm-hmm.
hear about this conversation,
Yeah.
and I kind of say, "Hey, are you willing to talk about this advantage you have?"
Mm-hmm.
And David's like, I have an advantage. I'm willing to use it, but I'm not going to say what it is." And I mean, at this point, I'm like, pretty fair, certain guess it's an extra vote, but like you never quite know for sure. But
Yeah.
that's where I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what he's holding on to.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have that kind of talk with him and kind of like, what are you willing to tell me here? But I don't remember doing really much else strategic talk.
And then there's a balut eating challenge in the middle of the
Yes. So
night.
like
We
we go
got
to bed.
barely any content from that, right?
I
Like
mean,
all we find out is later we find out, oh, everybody ate it.
Yeah, so we're all woken up and tribe by tribe, right? This is not a mix, and we're told like this is a test of resolve, where each of us has to eat a balut
of
of
resolve.
resolve. Yes.
Okay.
And we all have a balut, and we have to eat said balut, no time limit, we just have to eat it. And if we fail to eat it, if our tribe loses a challenge, we'll be sent to exile before tribal council. And in my head, when it's a 3-3 situation, and you're like, this is tenuous, I'm like, that's kind of death. If you're like if you're not with your tribe strategizing, they're just like it's gonna be a 5-1 vote.
How was the balut? I mean, that is honestly a Survivor bucket list for me, is to eat balut. Like that is classic.
That's what
Survivor.
It was for me too. It was like I'm like, this is exciting. I mean, am I thrilled about balut? Not really. Am I thrilled at midnight? Less so. But it's balut. This is iconic. You don't get more Survivor than this. I mean, Hannah, you participated in a gross food challenge and survival challenge 2018.
Yes, I have.
What did you eat then?
I ate something called devil's tongue, which was a kind of seafood spongy thing that was very easy to eat.
Balut was less so. So
was it crunchy? I mean, it's like a baby chicken, right?
So it's basically a fertilized chicken or duck egg. I mean, it's large, and so the embryo has somewhat developed. I mean, and so my strategy was, it was dark. I simply was not going to look at what I was going to eat.
Yeah.
As long as I don't see it, because it tastes like hard-boiled egg. To be not going to lie, it's a lot of it's hard-boiled egg, and I was like, oh, it's crunchy. I just failed to deshell it properly. I was like, that was my excuse.
Yeah.
Kristen Williams says it tasted like a mix of chicken and egg, and it felt like chewing on glass, aka the bones.
Oh, gosh.
The worst part of balut was like, I don't know if it was the top or bottom. We got this kind of large, extremely dense, rubbery section that was just so difficult to chew and swallow. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just hard to chew and swallow.
Could you drink water?
I think so. Thankfully, they didn't give us like oyster water.
Clam water. When we did survival challenge, we had clam water, which I was fine with. It just tasted like salt water. And like, so what I did is I just like would break up the food into like swallowable pieces, and I would just like take a drink and swallow.
I'm pretty sure we were standing next to each other that challenge. You're in slot 2, I'm in slot 3.
Okay.
And I said like, oh, should I drink this? She's like, yeah, go for it. I take a sip. I'm like, oh, I'm gagging. I can't.
Oh, okay. So I have that memory, but I couldn't remember if it was you or Evan. I told someone, I was like, just drink the water. It's fine. And you started gagging. You're like, I was like, oh, I thought it was fine. There's a like, do you know what Funny 115 is?
Yes.
Okay. So there's like they have a post about Boston Rob with balut. I think it's balut, or is it something? Oh, it might be something else. Crap, I don't remember. I thought it was balut, but there's a running joke of the gross food that has been on like 2 of his seasons, maybe 3 of his seasons, and it's like his like nemesis. And so I should find the Funny 115 post about it and put it in the comments.
I was the last one on my tribe to finish my balut, because as soon as I heard there's no time limit, there's no like last one finished gets punished, I was like, I'm gonna take my sweet time.
Now, does Survivor BC always have some type of middle of the night challenge? Like, this is not the first middle of the night challenge that I've seen.
No, it isn't.
Because season 5 had the endurance challenge, stand on one leg in the middle of the night. This has the balut challenge in the middle of the night.
Oh man, I'm trying to think to the following seasons if we did nighttime challenges. I know season 8, things ran so late the last day it was practically a nighttime challenge.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's so fun. I think it's kind of a cool little like trademark of your game of BC of like, Gyra will visit your camp in the middle of the night and make you do a challenge.
I pretty much stumbled up like, oh, balut, okay, ate it, stumbled back,
Yeah.
And like in retrospect, one of the things I wish I did was like take more advantage of the nighttime to talk with players and like use that to bring people apart to strategize. But I was so tired. I had a sleeping bag, so I slept great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the thing with these games, taking advantage of the time you have. So speaking of going to camp, Tony finds a note and then tells everybody
Everyone.
where did he find the note? When did was this in the episode?
So
I
we don't
watched some
see
of the
him find the
episodes.
we don't see him find the note. We don't see him share him, but we hear about it through confessionals. This is the next morning. So day 3, morning of day 3, Tony finds the clue that hidden immune idol and shares it with the tribe.
He just tells everybody.
Yeah, he just tells everyone.
Which I think you do that if you find the note in front of everybody.
Yes.
If you find the note in front of everybody, don't be coy about it. Just
Hannah, so imagine back to the survival challenge. Imagine your swap went a little bit differently. So it's for Tocho 2.0, for Tatanka 2.0, right? That's a swap, and you get a sense like, no, we're very deadlocked in this 4v4, and you find the clue, the hidden immune out in front of all 7 other players. Do you share that to everyone?
Yeah. So I guess in that situation, if maybe, but you definitely share it with your alliance. But if you found it in front of everybody, because
I think at that point you're willing to be selfish and say, sorry, I'm going to show this with my tribe. And maybe like once you find it, you're like, oh, we have like, maybe then you kind of give it out to people because it's useless. But
you really need to find a way to not have your alliance sell you out and not have the other side target you. If you're in that situation where you find something in front of everybody, you need to play it perfectly to not end up a target in any way, shape, or form. I do not think that includes reading it in front of everybody, but because he does that, but someone in his alliance does find it.
Rachel gets the idol.
Rachel gets the idol. That confessional with the idol reveal was perfect. I loved it when she just whips it out. Like, go Rachel.
Yeah, and we hear from Rachel that she's pretty willing to just use it the next tribal council.
Yeah, she says she's going to, right? She says, I'm going to use this. And I think that is a great idea. I think Lori should have been thinking that way when it came to her tribal.
I mean, spoilers, if Lori had played the idol, the whole game would have changed right there.
Yeah. But talking about the vote, but the other side of David, Lindsay, Stacy, they just tell me if I'm wrong, but they made you guys really think that the vote was between Keegan or you. So they're making you think it's between you two so that an idol doesn't get played on you two. So if an idol gets played, it gets played on one of you two. And then therefore the vote's Lori. So
I'll get more into that because apocryphally I've heard of a confessional from Keegan. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Keegan, why'd you not tell us? But we'll get there. But the first thing we do after we see kind of Ula kind of idol hunting, Rachel gets the idol. We see a lot of like Rachel and Taylor wooing Kristen.
Yeah.
We don't see much. We don't really see much of Tony, Lexi, or Arlene, but we see a lot of Rachel and Taylor really trying to bring Kristen over, make Kristen want to jump ship.
And Kristen is very aware of this too. Yeah. She is very aware of what's going on, and we hear her confessional where she's debating, I could work with them. I just need to decide if that's what's best for me right now. And I have to say, this is an alliance of my dreams. Kristen, TSL, and Rachel, like that is what dreams are made of. I love them working together. Would be amazing. So
yeah. Hannah, do you know who Lexi is dating right now?
Is she dating Aleem?
She is dating Aleem. Aleem and Lexi are a couple. Now, they did not know each other before the game. They didn't start dating until a while after the game. But I think, to my understanding from Kristen, just kind of Lexi and Aleem together made Kristen nervous.
Like I think pick it up.
Yes, I think Kristen was able to kind of pick up that there were sparks flying there. I mean, this is not a showmance per se, but I think of the three of them together was leaving Kristen nervous, and so how much would Kristen jump ship, or maybe Kristen would tithe and jump on a revote? We might have to see what would happen with that.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I think it's really, I love the confessionals where you're hearing people talk through what decisions lie ahead of, what options lie ahead of them. And like, I think you had a confessional like this too, like talking through what could be the best move for you. So hearing Kristen, you know, kind of say like, I could consider this. I know that they want me to work with them, but I need to figure out if that's best for me. Was really cool.
Now, next up is the immunity challenge. The immunity challenge, you have a collar, and the first thing you do is you send 2 players out, kind of like their legs tied together to go unlock locks. They run back.
In, out, in, out, in, out.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize we were so loud when doing that. Keegan and I were just like shouting, like, and we were fast at it too. Like we made up a lot of time in the running. I was it. I'm trying to remember who in the other tribe were the runners, but I feel like we were much quicker than them at the running portion.
It was TSL and
Lexi then.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you guys were definitely faster, but they got the puzzle done faster.
Yeah,
can you explain what the puzzle was? Because I wrote down like it's a padlock, but I don't think we know what it is at all.
So first you send 2 players who are kind of bound together to go, and you have to simply a bunch of combinations. You have to get the right combination to unlock 2 locks.
Okay, so combinations. What are you talking about? Just like math problems?
No, literally, like there's written out combinations, and it was kind of you test until you get the right one.
So you're given 3 numbers, and you have to figure out what.
Yeah, it's like your high school locker where you go right to the number, left to the number, right to the number.
Oh, so like survival challenge would have made that 10 times more intense. They would have been like the number of Survivor seasons multiplied by the number of quits in the game.
It was a little bit of luck challenge, and do you remember how these locks actually operate challenge?
Oh,
and
gosh.
So I mean, the other pair gets their lock much quicker than Keegan and I, but we end up making enough time on the front, the running up and back that it's not a huge head start.
No.
Next, the collar sends 3 players out blindfolded, and the first one gets a box with a key, so you can like unlock a rope. The next one brings back oranges. You have to eat the oranges. And the last one brings back a slide puzzle. And in the discussion of who we want to do, the big thing is who can do slide puzzles. Because Hannah, can you do slide puzzles?
Yes, I know the is it called a formula? I know the basic like strategy of where you work left to right, up to down, up.
Because essentially with slide puzzles,
that's what I know.
If you think of like the top row, if a 4x4 in the top row, numbers 1 and 2, easy, not a problem. 3 and 4 have to go in simultaneously. That's the real trick. Like you can't get 3 and try to fit in 4. You have to have them lined up so they slide in together. And of our tribe, there were 3 players who were familiar with slide puzzles. Stacy, me, and Lori.
Okay.
Now we had a lot of discussion of who should be the caller. And the reason why I was not the caller is because I don't like oranges.
Oh, really?
And I was like, you could put me as the caller. I can do the slide puzzle, but note that you are inadvertently gross food challenging me in the process.
Really? They're that gross to you?
I don't enjoy them. I mean, I don't hate them, but like everyone else in the tribe would love the oranges. I'm just like, I don't want to eat the oranges. And
oh my gosh.
And so, which is the silliest thing. I should have, like, in retrospect, just choked them down and like moved on with life.
If you felt like you would be the best at the slide puzzle.
Well, Lori said, "Hey, I've been practicing." And we're like, "You feel confident?" She's like, "I feel confident." We're like, "Okay, Lori, we trust you." That was a pretty. Lori did not know to do slide puzzles at all.
Oh my god!
Like Lori couldn't get the 3 and the 4 in. I'm just sitting and watching him like, oh no, she can't. Because what ends up happening is we get through Lori is a fantastic caller. We get through the calling section so quickly, so easily, and we end up having like a minute lead on a lean because the lean's kind of sending Rachel running into a bush. And Lori just can't do the slide puzzle. I don't know how you coach someone from behind their back how to do the slide puzzle.
It's pretty much impossible. One of the people blindfolded, like the first one on Ula.
Tony.
Was it Tony? Or I couldn't tell, but they were like running really well blindfolded. Like, sometimes you see someone just like kind of cautiously. There was maybe it was your tribe.
I think you were thinking David because David just sprints out.
Yeah, he like no hesitation. He trusted Lori. Like some of the funniest part of people
because Tony's then like doing his like mummy walk.
Oh yeah.
Like David nearly bowls him over as he runs back.
Yeah, David was like a beast with being blindfolded. He had no qualms whatsoever.
And the blindfolded, like the boxes were pretty straight linearly. So as long as you kind of were lined up properly to start with, like you didn't have much issue in getting them.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, Lori can't do the side pose, and Aleem just gets it really quickly. And Ula wins.
Pumped.
Ula 2.0 wins the immunity challenge.
Ula.
And yeah. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty mad.
Oh, really?
I was just like, wow, like, if
you would have done it,
I should, like, part of my issue when I play Survivor is I don't want to step up to these hero roles. I don't want to be putting myself out there, and it just has regularly burned me each season I played. In Real Foot, I was like, I let other people volunteer to be swimmers, and really had 2 players almost drown themselves. I'm just saying, like, oh my gosh, I can swim. What are we doing? And then this challenge, I should have put myself out there because I can do a slide puzzle. I'm just like,
so it's tough. It's tough. And so you guys immediately break up 3-3 in your original alliances to discuss your moves going forward. Is that right? Like, that's first step. You're both going to split up, pick out what name you're going to do, and both sides agree that we're going to go to Rocks. Lori does not reveal to you guys that she has an idol.
No.
And
something I want to bring up something that you don't really get a sense of the episode. Stacy and Lori spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah, because Lori is convinced that she can bring Stacy over to your side.
Or at the very least, like, I don't know if Lori split, but I felt like Stacy and Lori were really kind of becoming a pair. I mean, they were similar in age. They were both smoking with each other. Like, they had these connections. And you can tell even the scene where there's just the 2 of them together, they really jive with each other. And so I was like, wow, like, I can see them wanting to get rid of Keegan and me and kind of keeping Lori, because I think Lori would be fine the role with Stacy.
And so Stacy's doing an amazing job of making you guys not want to vote her out,
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, who did I vote for? I think we all voted for Lindsay that night.
Yeah. You guys all voted for Lindsay. Also, like, speaking of smoking, it's just so funny how Survivor BC often has things you would never see in Survivor. Like, last season, there were the girls doing makeup at camp, and I was like, what? Makeup doesn't belong on Survivor. Why do their luxury item was makeup, and here we have people smoking while strategizing. Like, that's Big Brother stuff, but it's fine.
I can't remember if it was on the original Batuhan tribe or the swap Batuhan tribe, but one of the 2 nights I'm laying there, and everyone was talking about what flavor they like the vape to. And I'm just sitting there going like, I have nothing in common with these people. Oh my gosh. It's one of those, like, sinking moments, like, I don't know if this is, you want to work with people that you get along with and have something in common with. I'm just like, I don't know if I have anything in common with these people. It was just one of those, like, oh no moments. And I think it was on, like, my original tribe. And I was just sitting there like, I can't add any of this conversation. It felt like kin to, like, in Survival Challenge, there's a moment in my swapped Tocho 2.0 tribe where Hannah and Maria and Katie are all laying next to each other under the tarps, talking about being teachers.
Oh yeah.
And, like, having this bonding over about being teachers. And I remember talking like, wow. And I really should have like run to Justin and say, hey Justin, are you seeing this? Are you seeing that they're all teachers and bonding with each other like this? Like, do you think this is a problem? I think this is a problem.
Sorry, too late.
I know, right? You outplayed and outwitted it. So it worked out well.
Right. Yeah, it's just funny, the things that, sleeping bags and stuff. It's just funny to see on a Survivor show. Smoky makeup, sleeping bags. I love it. So when it comes to, like, the strategy, I like kind of mentioned this earlier, but I feel like we see, you don't want to go to Rocks, but you kind of do because no one's willing to flip. A lot of, when it comes to these even tribe swaps, it's kind of a game of chicken of who's going to flip. Yeah. I've already said that I would be the one that I would be like, I'm going to sell out first so that I'm definitely not going to be the vote. In a hopefully suave way to not turn myself into the vote. And I think that, you see both sides trying to, you see players trying to make the other side feel really good about them in the future so that they're not going to end up being the name. Did you guys, so if you're suspecting that David has an advantage that's an extra vote, we hear you say that, he says he's not going to play it right now. So what were your guys' conversations around his advantage?
So we probably should have been, I really wanted David to be confident that we were flipping on each other. I really wanted David to believe that Keegan and I were both voting for each other, so he felt confident that he didn't need to play it.
Okay.
That was my goal, was for David to kind of see us be really torn apart. Because I think it's a question of which tribe is showing more unity. I think Ula Ula, like those three, you kind of really got a sense like they are kind of more solid than the Batumon three. Especially because, like, I felt good about Lori, but Keegan, not as much at the time. I hadn't, he wasn't a person I had heavily strategized with. And like, I kind of felt we were kind of opposite sides of our tribe. And so like they came across as more confident in their threesome, plus having this extra mystery item behind them. And so I was really hoping that if we like were really scattered and really kind of going at each other, they would feel confident enough that they didn't need to play it.
And then you would try to have someone flip on the revote?
We either rock or like the reason why we don't vote Stacey is we want to have Stacey hopefully flip.
Yeah, okay.
And so, I mean, that was the big dilemma in my mind, is like, okay, I have these two options. Do I stick with my tribe and pray that this works? Or do I just capitulate and pray I don't get burned for it?
Yeah. It's really interesting. Through all that, I just feel like if I was David in that situation, you just feel really confident of like all that he needs to worry about is making sure an idol doesn't get played on who they're voting for. Like that's why it was really great how him and his alliance were making you think it's Keegan think it's you, but actually vote for Lori. I think that's exactly what he needed to do.
They did a great job, because for me, like, I walked in the tribe council saying Keegan and I are going home most likely. I don't know which of us. Right. I really thought that was the way.
Steven, if you're gonna go into tribe thinking there's a 50% chance you might be going home, you needed to just flip on him.
And like, I'm not saying I played well. I'm just saying that was what was going on at the time.
I can't believe you're going into tribal like, you know what? It might be me. When you literally have a vote that could change it.
I was kind of like, just like, you're gonna laugh. I was like, wow, I've never actually gone to rocks before. Wouldn't it be fun to try that for the first time?
You know what? I literally thought that when watching. I was like, kind of, when you were talking about going to rocks, I was like, you know what? I mean, it is just like, it's just a live game.
It's a game
like,
I've never done
it's like
before.
A bucket list item. Like, why not? Yeah, go to rocks for the rocks and the kicks of it. So I thought of that when I was watching. So there's no judgment there. Rocks can be fun.
And so. Yeah, so really, like, I feel like the strategy talks you see in the episode, and a lot of the bonus talk, is me lying to the Ula Ula, Keegan lying to Ula Ula, Ula Ula lying to us. Yeah. And like, I don't know. And
Lori convinced that Stacey would flip.
Or that one of the two of us are going on. I think if Lori, you feel like you're sitting pretty, that you're kind of running with Stacey, and that all the names you're hearing are the other two players in your alliance, you're probably feeling pretty good about the situation you're in. And
so I know, like, I kind of have given a little bit of crap about Lori not like using or talking about her idol, but I do want to stop and say, like, I do understand not even telling you guys about it, because then there's the assumption that she's going to play it for who the alliance thinks is getting the votes. And maybe she doesn't want to tell you guys because she doesn't want to play it on you, and she thinks she's safe. So she's going to keep it to herself and not play it. But, in that situation, she possibly has a 33% chance of going.
I think, like, think of David versus Goliath, right? When you're outnumbered and everyone shows their cards, and then David's like, well, we can make this happen. And they use what they have to make it happen. Or I think there is real value in a minority to kind of reveal your cards in that sense. I don't know. I mean, if I had known that Lori had an idol, either at the start of the swap, think I would radically play different, right? Because I feel like we're playing from a sense of power at this point, and maybe we can more force their hands. Or like if I even had known the strategies and had Lori and the idol. I mean, so apocryphally, this is not an episode, but I heard
pause. Apocryphally.
Yeah.
What does that word mean?
This
post game.
This is material I hear. This is material I've heard exists, but we haven't seen the episode, and if it's a live confessional, I haven't seen it. But I've heard from production that this exists.
Okay. That's what apocryphally means. Okay.
Well, the Bible, there's an apocrypha, which are books of the Bible that aren't considered canon.
Okay.
So some Bibles have them, but they're not considered the inspired word of God.
Okay.
So I have heard before Tribal Council Keegan has a confessional with production where Keegan realizes that because they're throwing my name out to him and his name out to Steven, that the vote's not either of us, the vote's actually Lori. Like, he figures out that Lori is the one that's going to be getting the votes tonight. And he doesn't tell us. Because I don't know if it's because we're about to go to tribal council or why, but I hear that from production that Keegan realized it. But again,
and if he would have told Lori.
Or if Lori had told us she had an idol and we realized, like, Lori, play the idol for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Things could have been very, very different.
Like, what I'm saying though is, like, I do understand why she would not tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean,
because she felt like she was good and she did not want to waste an idol on one of you.
Yeah.
But
I think
jokes on her was her.
David, Lindsay, like Stacey, amazing job at making Lori feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they played that as well as they could to both use the extra vote correctly and to have a person, the idol, go home with it without ever realizing she was a target. Like,
why didn't Stacey fight for Lori at all if she was making those close connections with her?
Well,
did she not have a choice because it's not her advantage? David got to make the call because David has the advantage, so Stacey had to just go with it.
Maybe because, like, you see, and I don't know if you got to this in the extra content. I don't know if David has a confessional in the episode, but in the extra episode,
he has a confessional.
He has a confessional. He pretty much says if I recall correctly, he realizes that Stacey and Lori are kind of getting close, and he wants to stop that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because for David, like, David's really kind of playing the Ula strong, and he doesn't want people to have outside opportunities apart from him.
Yeah, which is
and so I think it's smart for him to kind of shut down that avenue for a player in his alliance.
You know what I wanted to happen? I wanted Stacey to flip on Ula and vote out David. I feel like David is coming across as Mr. Leader, and
man, that would have been something. I mean, because, like, if someone from Ula had come over to, let's say, like, David gets voted out, I don't know, like, I may have been more flexible than vote out a Batuan player after that, right?
Yeah. Speaking of Batuan, during the lost scenes that are in that bonus footage, at camp, Ula has a, like, R.I.P. Batuan tombstone. Did you see this at all?
So that's from their opening, when we do that opening reward challenge, the tribe chant and song, like, they find these tombstones. I don't know what's going on. They find these, like, grave markers in the woods, these, like, kind of flimsy plastic styrofoam things, and they painted to say "Rip Batuan." They use that as a prop in that original thing.
And so they just, like, have it, like, on. They still have it at camp. It was just so funny. Also with this is also a random thing from the lost scenes I wanted to bring up, is that you see Stacey voting at the voting booth, and she picks up this random horn,
this prop,
and, like, takes it with her, right?
I asked about that, and she's like, "You'll see in the future." So I think that's something that will pop up in future episodes, because I don't know about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, cannot wait.
So to wrap it up, if you were sitting in, let's say, my position on Batuan, you would have gone through, you would have sealed the deal, you would have voted for Keegan, and that's what you would have done.
Yep.
Yeah. And like, I was so torn, but I was like, let's give this a shot. And then, David plays the idol, Laura goes home, just kind of like, oh my gosh, I just spent the entire round lying to David, Lindsay, Stacey.
Yeah.
And I don't go through it, because at least if I had gone
you
through
you literally say, like, I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to vote with you guys. I just want to prove that I'm working with you. And then you don't even do it.
Yeah. And especially because you hear David in his extra confessional saying, like, had one of us flipped, I think he would have been okay taking with us the merge, and we would not. Doesn't sound like we've gone deep with them, but he probably would have thrown us a bone and taken us an extra round.
Okay. Also, so I keep on saying that I would have sold out my alliance. But, well, you have had a night together. But, like, when you swap and you just barely have this time with your new, it's hard to, like, vote with your new people, even though you've just met them. But, there is that factor is in play of, like, here's people that you've known for 2 days, and here's people you've known for, like, 5 hours of daytime. So
I'm thinking of survival challenge after the second swap, right? You have is it Tatanka 3.0 or is no, it's Aga 3.0, right?
Appeasy.
Oh, PZ. I'm like, I can't remember whatever the tribe was that you weren't on, right?
Yeah.
Kind of has a majority of Tatanka 2.0, majority of this blue tribe, and they start eating the minority. But eventually, once you kind of get down to 5 or 6 players left, then they kind of start looking more and turning on themselves and trying to figure out. And that's how you see a player named like Kathy slip through like those cracks and able to form new majority. And so like, in some wild world where, let's say, this Baton 2.0 tribe goes to 3 or 4 tribal councils, like, this is going to happen a while. Maybe we've seen some more shakeups as things progress, but
yeah. When during the tribal council, am I skipping anything important?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when Jaira's reading the votes, and 3 votes Lindsay, 3 votes Lori, and then he's like, the 7th vote. The zoom in on David's face was so funny.
Man. Okay,
he was so proud of himself. I like, instead of like zooming in on other people being shocked, it was zoomed in on David. Like, yeah.
So I've been making GIFs of each Survivor episode, and you kind of see me posting like one on like the little like description for these podcasts, right?
Have you really been? I have not been seeing
Well,
these.
I've been posting them to just the Survivor BC people. And I've been trying to start tagging like the episodes, like with like a little preview of like my favorite GIF. And so I for this episode, I included the Stacy eating balut GIF where she's like choking on it. And like all of us are like, you're gonna make us rich, Stacy. But the other, like the moment where David just smiles because he knows what's gonna happen, things are going his way, is such a great moment that's been caught on tape.
It's so great. Like he's like looking at everybody's reactions like, yeah.
I mean, extra votes are finicky, and like here's what I've learned about Survivor. Like the power of an extra vote is do you know what a concave function looks do you know what a convex function looks like?
No.
So a convex function is like a U, right?
Okay. I know.
Where an extra has like has little power in your original tribe, right, for the most part, but then has an insane amount of power in a swap tribe because the numbers tend to be tight. Think of Survivor season 39 when Aline gets that extra vote and just like, nope, we're not rocking here. We're gonna vote out who we want. And like her original tribe takes power because of the extra vote, and that leaves Tommy and Lauren scrambling and kind of like saying, oh, vote out Dan next, right? So an extra vote peaks in power in a swap.
Okay.
And then like it kind of drops again because you merge. There's a lot of players and it's hard to use it correctly. And then as you kind of edge like to the 876 kind of rise in power again.
Yeah.
So it kind of like has these peaks in like kind of the middle of the pre-swap and the middle of the merge in power and kind of this big trough where it's really hard to use right. And so I think David used it at the best time you could possibly use an extra vote in the game.
Yeah, great play.
Yeah.
Great. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
the 3-3 is awesome. I would have loved to see what would have happened without the advantage. Like, I would have loved.
Yeah, I mean, like, like, would we go on the rocks? Would one of us have flipped? I mean, I think at that point,
I think Stacy's flipping.
That would have been amazing. Like,
but she needs. But would we see like the Jessica Lewis situation? Is that her name, Jessica Lewis?
Yeah.
Where other people didn't flip because they thought she was going to flip, which therefore makes a rock draw happen that people were not planning for. Like, do people think Stacy is going to flip so you guys don't flip, but then she doesn't, so that would be really cool.
I would have just been said, hey, I'm going to rocks. You all are welcome to join me, but this is what I want. Right. It's like, I think at that point I was dead set, like, because I was just like, I've never done this before. Why not?
Let's do it.
So there is this kind of this feel bad moment where the existence of an extra vote robs you of a rock draw. Right.
Yeah. Come on, David. Jeez.
Come on, David. Let the rocks happen. What could go wrong?
So Lori gets voted out, blindside, right? And the end segment about Lori was just so beautiful, and like you choke up a little bit when the music starts and it's talking about Lori. And so that was really sweet to hear, see her idol reveal that she had an idol. And the sweet little send off about her. And so I was going to ask you, Steven, and if anybody who played this season are watching, like, do you recall any Lori moments from this season, or have you heard any stories from Reelfoot of like any favorite like Lori moments that like have still like lasted all these years of like Lori things?
I wish I can give you a great Lori story, but here's how I know Lori. So when I was playing Surviving Reelfoot in that summer of 2019 for Thick as Thieves, and there was 2 Reelfoot seasons. We did my season, then Callipin's Revenge. Lori actually came out to watch the season play and kind of scope it out ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no idea who she was. We're just like, who is this lady with the colored hair watching us? we're just like, what's going on? And so Lori ended up getting to know the kind of the pre-merge players and kind of Rachel included. She met them all that way because she came and watched. But I didn't really know. So I was like, who is this lady? And so then she appears in my Survivor game, and she was a really, man, it was several years ago. I'm trying to remember like specific things about her, but she was just really kind and pleasant, and you could tell she had this love of the game because her real experience had been so rocky, but she just came out, they gave it all her shot. And so like I just kind of fell in with her and Rachel. I was like, yeah, this will be fun. And like it's kind of like, for me, I was like, look, I don't want to vote around on the stereotypes of the older lady going first, like no desire to do that, like. And so
and she doesn't fit the stereotype either.
No, not at all. And so I wish I remembered the conversations I had with her. And I kind of don't. And like, after the game ended, I remember just kind of like, I enjoyed interacting with her, but probably because I wasn't out smoking with her. I don't know.
Yeah. Should have picked it up for a bit.
I know. Lori. Yeah, so from David, he would have said Lori would have been his ride or die if they had started in the same tribe. Yeah, there's another alternate reality where Lori figures it out and she plays her idol, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And I will say, this isn't much of a spoiler, but because I don't know if she has an idol. I don't realize there's another idol rehidden.
Oh yeah,
right. Because she goes out, the idol gets rehidden, but that's just never information that I realize.
Yeah.
So
I love it. So did she stay around and hang out a bit?
Yeah. So Lori stayed around for the rest of the season, which was nice. Yeah, because I think at this point, Noah and Naya booked it.
Okay.
Chris left the day following his vote out, and Kevin also, because he lived in Seattle, drove home.
Okay.
So Lori was the first pre-juror to really kind of stick around for the rest of the game.
Oh, love that. Also, I would love to see a David Lori final 2. Like, how fun would that be? That would have been an epic.
So looking at this episode of Survivor, Hannah, what would be your advice for future players? I feel like there's a lot of core Survivor lessons you can pick up from watching this episode play out.
The swap is such
a fundamental part of Survivor. Yeah.
What are the takeaways from this episode? The takeaways are: make other people in the alliance feel really good about you so that they don't want to see you go. Especially if you're in a 3-3 lock, of your tribe swap. You want the other side to think they have a future with you, so they want to keep you around. That's one big takeaway. Do you have any others?
I think you see from David, Stacy, and Lindsay a masterclass of how to blindside on a swap tribe, right? Yeah. Like how to play around the existence of an idol, even if you don't know if one's there. I think they do a wonderful job, and therefore their plan works to perfection. You see, though
possibly Keegan figured it out, but just Keegan didn't do anything with his.
Either he did. If he did, he didn't tell Lori. He didn't tell me, and so therefore I truly went to the tribal council thinking that it was Keegan or me going home. That David and co were gonna have the pick of who they wanted to take going forward. And I think, like you said, I think watching me play, you learn the lesson of like you should be more flexible than I was.
I also have another takeaway that that has to do with the newest season of Survivor Australia that is coming out right now.
I've only seen episodes 1 through 3 so far.
Okay, this won't be a spoiler because I'm not going to mention names or anything or like specific things, but there is this theme going on in Survivor Australia right now where if someone on the tribe finds an idol or an advantage and people know about it, they want to vote that person out. But as you see with David, like you don't want, if you have someone on your tribe with an advantage, keep them around. So if you swap with them, you have the advantage. Like, so it's like, it's not a bad thing if someone on your tribe that you're working with has an advantage. Keep them around for the swap, for the merge. Get them on your side. Don't be like so scared that they have something. Right. Even if they were keeping it from you, it's good. So anyways, that's like a theme going on in Australia right now, that it's like, why do you keep trying to get rid of these people?
In all your spare time, Survivor New York Season 4, you see players early in the game get advantages and share advantages, and it becoming a real thing that tribes rally around. Like, you're like, well, we would vote up this person, but they have this, and we need to keep them because of that, because think of the swap, right? So you kind of see the opposite, where players who have these advantages, these public advantages, are really protected early on because people realize this is the resource that we want to have access to later on. And man, I regret to this day not getting that advantage in that immunity challenge, because imagine if if I'm on this swap tribe and I have the extra vote instead of David, things might have been different.
It's tough because in the moment you're like, am I going to go get this in front of everybody?
Yeah, and like you're thinking so much like, what's the tribe dynamic, the perception? I mean, like for me, I'm like trying to play things down, and like I'm like, oh, I can't get that. I need to win the point because we're behind this challenge.
David did it well. He got it, and he goes, oh, I thought that I could do both. Oh, well, we have this for all of us. This is for all of us. You know, that's how you do it. So if I ever play a game again, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, so next season of Survivor BC, spoilers, Kevin on the Pink Tribe gets immunity idol, and it's a public idol. He tells everyone, and everyone's like, yes, we want to take you with us. But he gets spooked and he plays it and then gets voted out the following tribal council. It's like, you didn't trust us. You played this idol. We really wanted to take you with us, but now.
Did that season get filmed, or was it just live?
So parts of it were filmed. A lot of it was live streamed, like more than any other Survivor BC season. I don't know what the episodes will look like. The episodes might be in an abbreviated format because there's so much more live than actual good quality footage. So I don't know what that will be. That's that's an issue following season 6 getting aired.
Well, I've been loving season 6. I'm posting episodes for Survival Challenge season 6, so I'm impartial to season 6. So I've been loving the content. Can't wait to keep watching the episodes come out.
Do you have any predictions for what do you expect to happen next episode?
Next episode. So like if the other tribe were to go to tribal, I think Kristen does flip. I think she would do what I have been saying. I think she would flip. So.
And let's say we'll swap out Lindsay and you're in alliance with Stacy and David and you just voted out Lori.
Wait, why would you take Lindsay out of the scenario? I want to work with Lindsay. No,
okay, stop. Just pick out swap yourself with one of the 3 Ula majority in the Baton tribe. You're in that majority alliance. What are you looking to do next?
Okay, let's take David out of the scenario. Let's say it's me.
So you are the head honcho of this alliance.
Yes. What am I doing next? Picking you and Keegan off. I got the majority.
So how are you? So I guess specifically, would you throw a challenge?
To protect the other side.
Yeah. Would you be looking to throw a challenge?
No, I'm of the mindset to never throw a challenge. That's pretty much my. Never throw. So
here's a fun fact. There was apparently discussion in the original Ula tribe that whatever tribe David was on should throw the first immunity challenge, so they can ensure they'd vote off one of the Batuan.
But then you'd throw every challenge because then you have the majority.
Well, and they ended up not doing that, but Lori on the slide puzzle did the trick anyhow. When you're looking to pick to vote off either me or Keegan at that point, what would be the big things that you're looking for, and like what player do you keep?
Who ensures me and makes me feel the best about working with me come merge, and who I think I could use and like giving me like kind of security with like if you were like, I'm really close with Rachel on the other tribe, me and Rachel and you and Lindsay, we should get together at merge, giving me these like promises of what we're going to do come merge.
And the extra footage, we get a lot of scenes of people saying, "I'm so worried about Steven and Rachel." I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just like, wow. I didn't. I guess more and more of these scenes come out. I'm like, wow, this was a thing. I had no idea what's going on in the back of people's minds.
And yeah, I don't think we really saw that in the live videos either. So,
well, it's just like, and what's good humor is because there's a lot of other relationships that are under the table, but like this one relationship, probably because we played Real Foot, is so out there in public at this point.
Sadly, yeah, it's too bad. I hate when these things happen. Yeah.
Last what if? Swap out me or Keegan. You just tried to go to the Rocks for some strange reason, and it didn't work out, and Lori got voted out, and you broke every promise you just made to Dave and the Ula Ulas. What are you doing?
You are groveling at the feet of the other side, and you're throwing Keegan under the bus, and you're fighting your butt off during the challenge to try to win.
Well, from the next episode's airing tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific time, we've seen or maybe that's Central Time, I can't remember. There is the image from the episode we see is from an immunity challenge you yourself have done, Hannah.
Is it this one?
Yes, it's that one. It's the challenge where you hold the wooden discs between you and the player.
In survival challenge, we call it high five.
Yeah, so it's the high five immunity challenge. That's what we will be doing next challenge.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember how long it went?
Long enough that players got knocked out of technicalities at the end.
Yeah. Of so,
like you looked down or you moved your leg or stuff like that.
Survival challenge. It's a great endurance challenge.
It's a great endurance challenge. We have hours. For live reality games, you have to put artificial constraints on it, which is unfortunate. And I think survival challenge probably did the best variant where they stack the sandbags on it on season 7 to force it to be much more difficult and hasten it to an end.
Yep. Can't wait.
Yeah, I will probably complain a lot loudly during that challenge.
Can't wait.
So Hannah, thank you so much for your time for talking about Survivor BC. I'm so thankful I was able to get you on as a guest today. Hannah, like she's mentioned, is editing season 6 of the Survival Challenge. You can check that out on YouTube. Episodes are coming out pretty regularly. Is there anything else you want people to know about you and what you're doing, Hannah?
I mean, I'm all aboard the Survival Challenge train. I'm on field production for them. We have a new season this summer. So like the page of Survival Challenge so that you can watch the live videos this summer and or subscribe to the YouTube so you can see the episodes as they come out to watch me and Steven play.
Or Hannah at this point play.
You can watch his episode too.
And like, I'll give a shout out for Survival Challenge as well. You know, the unfortunate application that closed end of January, but I think it from a production value and from a challenge value, like there's no game that's better than Survival Challenge, and so I'm always excited to see what they'll do this summer. So it'll be a lot of fun for me watching the live streams.
Yes, and I said this at the beginning, but I just love the Survivor BC episodes. I love what Matt comes out with, what Jaira comes out with. I just love these products. So shout out to them for making these episodes. I'm looking forward to the next Survivor BC season to watch along and see what happens and the crazy twists. And the themes of Survivor BC are always just top notch. So I'm looking forward to more Survivor BC stuff.
Did you see that the theme for next season's has been released?
Oh, what is it?
Ad Astra.
Oh, yes. I did see that. Yes, of course. It's epic.
So that season will be filmed in May of this year. I think I think there's a limited. I think they're not planning on. I can't remember. I want to say the plan is not to live stream this next season because the winner of season 8 wants to film it and edit it and just release it that summer.
I would love that.
So that might be a thing. We'll see. We'll see as we get closer to end of May.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Okay, I'm excited. Looking forward to see the rest of these episodes too.
Yeah. With that, I hope everyone enjoys the Super Bowl today. And thank you. And the best icing on the cake on top of the Super Bowl is the new Survivor BC episode coming out tonight. So stay tuned for that. And thank you all for listening.
Bye.